Hello, my name is Jackson Todd. I'm an English GCSE tutor at Newcastle College, and I've been asked to develop a resource for the Flying Starts induction programme, and it's supposed to be on note taking. So I thought what might be a good idea is to use a little bit of dual coding, like I've been doing with my English GCSE tutors, and it's a good note taking skill, but also fantastic for revision for exams at the end of the year. Okay, so it's also the perfect resource for lockdown because you're only going to see my hands, and I just have to wash those, and you can't see my horrible castaway haircut and horrible beard. So I'm going to get started with the dual coding. I thought, like I say, we'll do something that all students might kind of benefit from having a grasp of, maybe especially if they're first years, and that would be the college campus, because it can be quite confusing when they're starting for the first year. So what we're going to do is, if we start up on your left hand side, make sure you leave some space, and we're going to do a shape like so. Okay, up here, and we're starting with this because we need to situate where the rest of the buildings are going to be. So we're going to start with the car parks. Okay, so do a little entrance over yonder, and then over in this top corner do a rectangle. Make sure I'll draw it somewhere you can see on where I'm recording, like so. And then next to it again, a smaller rectangle, like so here. Okay, so dual coding, as you know, is kind of the mixing of images and information. For these, we're not going to put any information because there's no specific name for the car parks we're going to use. We're just going to draw, and like I say, you're going to see now, this will stop anyone from being nervous about dual coding because I can't draw. So there's a car over here to signal to car park. You're also going to have one up here, okay, smaller car, another car park. This is the one up by Trevelyan, okay, like so. And this one's going to be slightly different because you're going to have a car here, okay, and then underneath it you're going to have a sign for disabled car parking. Okay, so we're started there, we're kind of situated where we need to be, and they'll have an understanding this is the first place they'll start from. So I would suggest maybe starting this with an idea of where your student's going to be, so you can start with a little bit of an X marks the spot. So just for this, I'm going to have a student who we'll say is over here. And like I say, you're never going to get these shapes perfect. It's going to look a little bit scrubby. We're going to start with a student, trying to situate this a little bit better so you can see the top of that paper a touch more. Just bear with me. Okay, so over here, we're going to start with the Performance Academy. Okay, so you're going to write inside of there. Okay, excuse me if you can hear my dog licking away. I'm pretty much stood over his bed at the moment. So we've got the Performance Academy right up there. And to signify the Performance Academy, we'll do a little bit of musical notation, draw some notes of music, and got a little microphone there as well. Can't draw obviously, but there you go. All right, it's a good place to start over there with the Performance Academy. So I'll put an X marks the stop with the door. That's where my student's going to walk out and explore the rest of the campus. A good thing to remember here to help them out is you've got the Performance Academy here, and if you do a little bit of an arrow over to this side, okay, because this is where the Utilita Arena is, which obviously we link to music as well. So we'll put a little microphone, some music there, and you could write Utilita Arena, okay, excuse my writing, Utilita Arena, so they can kind of situate themselves. All right, so where I would move to next is we'll do a picture over here. Okay, our next building, long black building, a building that's close to my heart, the Lifestyle Academy. So we'll just scribble on there. The Academy. And it's important as you're doing this dual coding, obviously, that you're doing it on the whiteboard and the student is copying it down exactly as you do. So in the Lifestyle Academy, we've got a variety of different subjects, haven't we? We've got, oh, let's hold on to some horrible drawing again. We'll do a plane here to signify, oh, I think I've just made it there, yeah. To signify travel and tourism. We can do a picture of, I don't know, I'm going to do a head. with some hair. I'm sure the hair and beauty team will be better at making that style look a bit nicer, but there's some hair to signify hair and beauty. And over here as well, we'll do hospitality. So we'll do a plate in the middle with a fork. How many prongs does a fork have? I think it has 4, but I'm putting 3. Okay, little knife there, and maybe put a little bit of food on there. Like I say, the hospitality team will be probably making something nicer than that. The reason I'm drawing the plate and the restaurant here, that's a kind of good signal to situate yourself, because obviously this part over here, this is the city centre, isn't it? So this is a place where we would expect to kind of have all your hospitality and meals. Okay, so that situates where they are here. Next one's pretty easy to remember. I'm not going to draw anything for this one, it's quite small, and I'm not sure what's happening with access to this area, but this is easy to remember because it's a really unusual shape and it looks a bit like a spaceship, and obviously that is our space, our HR centre. Okay, so you can put space because it looks like a spaceship, and then we'll put HR centre. Sorry if my writing's a little bit scruffy, you might want to make it slightly bigger than me. So then what we'll do is we'll move over to and sometimes as you're kind of doing your dual coding, if there's any little prompts or links you can make to get the information in, like a certain name, it might be good to drop it. We'll do a long, like, rectangle building here. Okay. And this is our Armstrong building. So I think, I don't know, you could say maybe to be strong, you need to have togetherness, you need to speak to people. And here is probably where you want to kind of direct them for student services. So maybe you could emphasize that to be strong, you need to kind of stay connected and communicate. So maybe you could do, I don't know, you could do symbol of a person here and another kind of person there. And maybe you can have a little speech bubble, because student services is where you want to go to. So then after Armstrong, we move over, and as you take them on this kind of tour with your dual coding, you might want to talk about the building itself. Like, this is the biggest building, you can see the tallest one, the newest looking building. I'm going to make it a T-shape there. So this is Parsons. I can't really think of any way to, I don't know, link Parsons in the mind to the type of subjects are there, but obviously I won't be putting every subject area for buildings because I'm just going to run out of space. I'll do a cross here. The fact that these are kind of a lot of health students are going to be in Parsons. Okay, so I'll do a little cross. That doesn't look like a medical cross at all. Who else have we got in Parsons? We've got childcare, so maybe I'll attempt to draw, oh, I don't know what this is supposed to look like. This is supposed to be a baby with a smile, and it doesn't look like a baby at all, so we'll move on swiftly. So you've got Parsons, and then you'll make the connection up here, that next to Parsons, we've got a square here. Okay, finally something that's a bit more straightforward to draw. You've got our library. Okay, and you might just want to draw a picture of, I don't know, an opening book with some words there and there. So we've got our library. So we're getting there now. So what I would do now is, next to Armstrong, you're going to do your kind of, this is the centre of the college, isn't it? Okay, maybe you might want to make it a little bit more central. I've kind of put it to the right a little bit. This is Rye Hill Plaza, so I would write Rye Hill Plaza in there. I kind of struggle to think about things that you could draw when it comes to Rye Hill Plaza, but I think the distinctive shape of it is gonna kind of stick it in their memory as well. Okay, so obviously you do your circle, and then I would just kind of draw some triangles, but obviously the triangles are kind of digging into the circle like so. Like I say, never going to get perfect, always going a little bit scruffy. And if you're doing it with students, I always make a joke of it, of how horrible my drawing is, and please do a better job. And if you can do a better job than me, I'll put it on the wall and people can copy from there instead. So next to the library, over yonder, we'll do a long rectangle over here. And this is the lovely Mandela building. Okay, so get them right. Mandela over yonder. And to signify who is in there, I don't know, I'll draw an easel, some different coloured paints on there. There you go. Doesn't look like an easel. And then, well, next to the easel, I'll do a painting. You're about to have your breath taken away with this beautiful rendition of the Mona Lisa. Using, there you go. My lord, you could sell that, couldn't you? So there's our art students over in Mandela. Then we'll start to kind of build a few buildings. Obviously, we've got some missing over here. We'll come to in a second. So for students that have childcare, you can do your nursery over here. Okay. I'm just going to situate it so you can see it on the camera there, sorry. We've got our nursery, and I don't know, you could draw a dummy, maybe. I don't want to do another picture of a child, as you can tell from before, I can't do that. So we'll do a dummy, and I'm just as bad at drawing dummies as well. So there's your nursery, and we'll move up to just before the back of this car park here. I'm probably getting the size of these buildings completely wrong. We've got the sports centre, okay? So we've got your sports centre here, and I'll draw a picture of a football. Got some little black squares on there. There's your football to signify the sports centre. Okay, we've got a couple more buildings we're going to get in here. I struggle to find. You probably want to maybe put the teaching academy down here somewhere. I know the map has got all the technical roads and things, but I think you need to be realistic with maybe what you can get done. You're more than welcome to add those in yourself. So what I would move towards now is up by the performance academy up here. I've kind of cut off half of the Performance Academy, so I'm going to, if you just do next to the Performance Academy here, a little bit of a T-shaped building, okay, like so, that juts out, and this is going to be Rutherford, okay, for Rutherford, you might want to draw a hammer, I don't know, maybe screwdriver, a lot of our construction learners, okay, and then our final building, Trevelyan's a funny old shape, isn't it? It kind of just over here, you can kind of signal to them that there's an underground access point there if you wanted to as well. Take this over here, and kind of Trevelyan just moves around here and downwards like so, okay, and then like I say, I'm not gonna draw every subject that's in this building, but let's say Trevelyan will take business, so maybe I take a spiky graph going like this, I don't know, or maybe it's a pound sign, okay, to signify Trevelyan. So I mean, it just looks like scribbles at the moment, but with the drawing, the most critical thing with your dual coding is going to be the next stage, really. So once you've done this, what you would want to do is your students take a look at that, and then what they need to do after that is they need to go off into pairs or in groups, and what you want them to do basically is go on the same tour that you've just gone on the board or on your paper through Teams. If you're doing it remotely, you're going to get them to go in the same order that we have, okay, when we did a little bit of dual coding training, they were talking about it's really important to actually make contact with the paper. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but it's about situating the information and giving it a place as you're describing it. So what you would have is you'd have one student who feels comfortable and confident enough to attempt to talk through what you've just said. So let's start with car parks. We'll start over here, and you've got another car park here, and here's your disabled car park. And over here you've got your performance academy, and these musical notes are because of the music, and this is where we are, and it's a good way to remember that you've got the utility arena over here, and you just get them to the best of their ability, and you can kind of give them a little bit of guidance, get them to go on that tour with the fingers. The next step would be go on with the rest of your lesson, and then later on you'd be looking to see how much they can recreate themselves, and it depends on when you want to use that. Some people would do the tour, then flip the paper straight over and see how much they can remember. So you kind of flip it, and then the challenge is for them to try and recreate the whole thing again. I personally think if you're doing the first time you're doing dual coding, I would literally get them to go on the tour with the person next to them and talk through what all the buildings are and what we do there, student services, and to the best of their ability, and then flip it over straight after that, because I think at that point they'll have a bit more retention of the information. Now, that's not going to be in the long-term memory, I understand, but it gives them that feeling of, oh wow, I've remembered more shapes and more like where we are, more than I thought I would, and you kind of get that, they invest in it then as a skill. But with any kind of dual coding, it's the constantly coming back to it. So if you're doing something a little bit more high stakes, maybe like preparing them for a certain exam paper or some unit, I would keep coming back to it. So, okay, remember the map we did of, can we attempt to try and recreate that now? Can we not? Okay, so what have we missed? Why? And they can look back at that original piece of dual coding to see what's been retained. So, yeah, that's just a little bit of a skill you can use for note taking, something to work with your students with, a little bit of an extra skill. So I've been Jackson Todd, just going through dual coding. Thank you very much. Bye.